morning. It's good to be here and good to be with you. I'm Elaine Frendel, a longtime member of this community and director of music. Each week, this community comes together to take part in worship, in music, and reflection. This is where we seek to have our hearts opened, our imaginations fired. This is the place that reminds us that we are deeply connected to one another and to all living things. Even though our building is closed, we gather together for weekly online worship. At 11:30 on Sunday mornings, we also gather for social connection in the sharing of joys and concerns in our Zoom meeting. Please join us. If you're here for the first time this morning, welcome. This fellowship is a religious community grounded in the heritage and principles of Unitarian Universalism. We seek to create loving community to inspire joy and spiritual growth and to support courageous action. All are welcome here regardless of religious background, political persuasion, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression. If you have a desire to explore questions of truth and meaning and respectful of our diversity, you found kindred spirits here. If you'd like more information about this fellowship or Unitarian Universalism, please see information about us on our website, uufc.org. If you are interested in getting our weekly newsletter so you can get connected to our community for online social events, our weekly sharing of joys and concerns, and our collective efforts to support local social justice work, please reach out to the office by the email on our website. Here are a few announcements for this week. Please be sure to join us on Christmas Eve at 5 p.m. via Zoom for a sing-along of carols, stories, and sharing. Gather the family, your kids, your hot cocoa, and a candle to light as we end the night with singing Silent Night. It will be so good to be together and see each other's faces on that night. See your weekly connection for dates and times of the many ways that we are staying connected virtually. Bingo, parent chats, coffee with a minister, meditation groups, and the weekly Sunday morning coffee hour at 11:30 a.m. Tonight, the Greenville UU congregation has extended an invitation to UUFC for the celebration of Yule with those of Earth, Spirit, Friends of the Goddess, and pagan traditions. And last of all, it's almost time for SWIM, which is the Southeast UU Winter Institute. While the conference will be virtual, it strives to be inclusive of longtime attendees and newcomers to this diverse, intentional intergenerational community of UUs. It's not too late to join this event. Details for all events mentioned are in the weekly connection. Now, we begin our worship this morning with these opening words by Reverend Barbara Stevens. Let this be a place of warm and gentle silence, the silence that soothes and comforts the wounded, the silence that yields insights into heart and soul, the silence that calms, the silence that listens, the silence that speaks, the silence that renews. Let this be a place of warm and gentle silence.
When it's late December, dark and cold, where is the light? When old man here is bending low, where is the light? When the sun runs off to bed too soon, where is the light? And there's nothing but a skinny moon, where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where seen. Where is the light? And I'm twinkling like the Pleiades. Where is the light? And I'm dancing like a candle flame. Where is the light? I'm flaming like a fruit flambe. Where is the light? I gotta know now. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. I say that. Where is the light? Where is the light, child? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. That's why I say, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Hello, I'm Reverend Christina Branham Martin, the interim minister here at the fellowship, and it is so good to be with you today. We now light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist religious community. And as we light it, we share our words of affirmation spoken by this fellowship each week. We gather together in the spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to care for one another. I also light these candles for our collective joys and concerns. The first is of a joy, for a grandmother who is swelling with pride for the accomplishments of her grandchildren in music and academics. We are so happy for you and for your family. The next is for a family in our congregation who is dealing with the diagnosis of a recent illness, and they are awaiting the treatment plan, and it's so hard to wait. We hope that you get the information that you need soon to move forward towards healing and wholeness. This candle is also for those in our community who are dealing with all the emotions of this season. For some, the season is really of a blue Christmas, and I hope that you feel the support of this community as you move through this time. May all of our opportunities for being together, may our worship, may our phone abilities to make phone calls and send emails give you the support that you need. And I light this last candle if I can get it to light. And if not, it'll be metaphorical. This last candle is for the joys and concerns yet to be shared. For a joy shared is doubled, and a concern shared is halved. There, it's lit.
Today, we add these heart ornaments to our Advent tree to represent this week's theme of love. Love is one of those words we toss around pretty easily. I just love spaghetti, or she's my favorite actress, I love all of her movies. But love is also one of the most powerful words in our language, and one of the hardest. It's the hard kind of love, the most powerful kind of love, that lies at the heart of the major religious traditions. It is the backbone of our own 7 principles, beginning with the first one, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It is also there in the first line of our affirmation. The spirit of love is what brings us together each Sunday morning. It is also love that compels us to seek justice in the world, to side with love and work for criminal justice reform and immigration reform, to stand up for racial equality and LGBTQ rights. So, today, we add our hearts to the tree to remind us that love will guide us.
If we were together right now, it would be time for passing the offertory baskets in the sanctuary. And even though we're not together physically, giving towards the financial well-being of this community is still possible. The pledge campaign is coming to an end, and we still need the final push to meet the demands of next year's budget. Please consider how you can help this community thrive. This year is also a year in which we need to give our special gratitude to our staff. The non-ministerial staff this year have stepped up in many ways with new means of technology, with learning things overnight, to turning ourselves into a new way of doing things together, online and virtual. Our communities have moved to telephones and emails and Zoom calls, and our staff have all been supportive of this. This is the time when we can give to them. Please go to the donate button on the webpage to be able to support them with the Staff Appreciation Fund. Thank you for your generosity.
The Shortest Day, Celebrating the Winter Solstice, by Wendy Pfeiffer, illustrated by Jesse Reich. In late autumn, in the northern part of the world, squirrels hide nuts, foxes grow thick fur coats, and flocks of birds fly to warmer places. The sun rises later each morning and sets earlier each evening. Each day it appears lower in the southern sky. As the sun gets lower and lower, the north gets less and less daylight. The air grows colder. Chickadees fluff their feathers to keep warm. Woodchucks hibernate in their burrows, and white-tailed deer nuzzle through the snow to find the last blades of grass. On short winter days, children bundle in warm clothes and walk through a frosty white world, dragging long shadows behind them. On long winter nights, families eat dinner while it's dark outside. Children wonder when the days will get long again so they can play outside after dinner like they did in summer. In the north, on or around December 21st, the sun reaches its lowest point on the horizon, making that day the shortest day of the year. Like all days, December 21st has 24 hours, but it's called the shortest day because it has the fewest hours of daylight. The shortest day, called the Winter Solstice, is the beginning of winter. And in some places, winter means cold, nose-nipping weather. The earth tilts as it moves around the sun. When the northern part of the earth tilts away from the sun, the north gets less heat and light than the southern part. Long ago, people didn't understand how the earth tilts and moves around the sun. They didn't understand why each day had less sunshine than the day before. Some believed that evil spirits made the sun go away. People feared that the sun wouldn't shine on them anymore, making their world cold and dreary dark. They needed the sun's warmth and light. So did their plants, which they needed for food. They held ceremonies that lasted for weeks to persuade their gods to bring the sun back. Over the years, people noticed that after short days, the days got gradually longer. Joyous people bathed in the sun's warmth and light. They celebrated their harvests. About 5,000 years ago, people who studied the sky noticed that day after day, the sun set in different places on the western horizon. They discovered that when the sun set furthest south, that was the shortest day. These early astronomers planned to mark the shortest day. Then each year people would know when the days would start getting longer again. On the day when the sun reached its southernmost point on the horizon, the astronomers carried out their plan. Workers stacked stones to frame the setting sun. They made a special opening, like a keyhole or the eye of a needle. When the setting sun's rays beamed through that opening, people knew that the shortest day was over. Days gradually got longer for the next 6 months. When the sun appeared farthest to the north, its rays shone through another keyhole. People knew it was the longest day of the year, the first day of summer. In China, over 3,000 years ago, astronomers measured shadows to determine the shortest day. The longest shadows appeared on the shortest day because the sun was at its lowest point in the sky. They knew that as the sun appeared higher in the sky, the shadows would get shorter and the days would get longer. Over 2,000 years ago, Romans celebrated the shortest day with festivals and merrymaking. They gave evergreen branches to friends as a sign of good luck. Evergreen wreaths decorated their doors. Since these plants stayed green when others turned brown, they reminded the Romans of the coming spring. Mistletoe and holly hung in their homes because plants that survived the harsh winter were symbols of life. Many people believed these plants would bring strength to their families. About 1,000 years ago, Europeans celebrated the winter solstice. Druid priests of England and Ireland decorated oak trees with golden apples and candles to represent harvest and light. In Sweden, a festival of lights celebrated the return of longer days. On St. Lucia's Day, girls wore crowns of evergreens and candles to rekindle the sun's fire as they delivered warm buns to family and friends. Boys went from door to door singing to the neighbors for a few coins. Around the same time in history, the Incas of Peru marked the shortest day with a festival in honor of the sun. At dawn, when the sun first appeared, shouts of happiness rang out. Then the Incas used a shiny surface to reflect the sun's rays onto fluffy, dry cotton. The sun heated the cotton and made it burst into flame. They carried the fire to their temples and kept it burning all year because it came from one of their gods, the sun. Today, people still celebrate at the beginning of winter by decorating their houses, lighting the darkness, gathering together, and exchanging gifts. They no longer worry that the sun will disappear forever. People know that days get colder when their part of the earth tilts away from the sun. They know that days get shorter when the sun appears lower in the sky. People celebrate the shortest day because longer days follow. Flocks of birds will return, seedling oak trees will sprout, and children can play outside after dinner. For more than 5,000 years, people have welcomed the winter solstice because it's a new beginning.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. These words by Reverend Samuel A. Trumbore are titled Chalice Flame Contemplation. In this time of long nights and short days, let us seek the light within by contemplating through our mind's eye the image of a candle flame. Notice how the soft, quiet, and gentle flame tamely rises from the wick. Yet just by touching a dry twig, it has the power to become a raging bonfire to light up the night. Let that little candle flame be your friend this morning. Allow it to quiet your mind as you attentively watch its flickering glow. Allow it to calm your mind in a way that brings a stillness that can light up the interior of your being, that can help you find the wellspring of your feelings. Allow it to show us our inner sense of knowing that can help us notice the ways we've strayed or harmed others. To warm us, reflecting on the ways we've been touched and the ways we've opened our hearts. And inspire us through making new connections and discovering new insights. May this simple flame touch the dry twigs that guard our hearts, allowing the power of light to penetrate our self-protection and show us the amazing potential for heat and light that reside within us. Blessed be.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear your call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all,
Winter Solstice by Dr. Reverend Rebecca Parker. Perhaps for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking, the wheels stop rolling, the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. For an instant, in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard, as Earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness, and then gracefully tilts. Let there be a season when holiness is heard, and the splendor of living is revealed. Stunned to stillness by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. There are inexplicable mysteries. We are not alone. In the universe there moves a wild one, whose gestures alter Earth's axis towards love. In the immense darkness, everything spins with joy. The cosmos enfolds us. We are caught in a web of stars, cradled in a swaying embrace, rocked by the holy night, babes of the universe. Let this be the time we wake to life, like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice. This year, as we reflect on the meaning of the winter solstice together, may we offer each other the gifts of rest, reflection, and resilience. This is a difficult year, and I need these gifts myself. I was moved to share much of what I'll say today from the writings of Reverend Lynn Cox, who reflects on winter solstice. This season is often very, very busy. For many, end of the year deadlines loom at work, and we're trying to make time in our lives for taking time off, but the deadlines are still there. For students and teachers and people working in academia, the end of the semester looms also. Projects are due, and for many of the teachers, even some in our own community, they've been dealing with the balancing of trying to teach virtually and physically, and it's been a really demanding time. Others are busy shopping and packaging things for the mail to ship to family and friends and perhaps grandchildren. There's baking and cooking and cards to mail and letters to write. In the December of years pre-COVID, we're often full of gatherings, and these can be joyful and at the same time demanding of our time and focus. So the long, dark night of winter solstice, amidst all of this busyness, invites us simply to stop and to breathe. Reverend Cox writes, "We can allow the winter solstice as the hinge of the new year to be a turning point that opens the door to a new mindset. It can remind us that as universalists, we know human worth is unconditional. Our place in this world does not depend on our usefulness, our productivity, our decorative qualities, or our ability to be entertaining. You belong here, is what our universalist tradition states. When each of us makes time and space to acknowledge ourselves and each other as human beings, rather than human doings, it is easier for us to practice acceptance of one another. The winter solstice is also an opportunity to notice and to exercise resilience. In ancient legends, the winter solstice is a time of the rebirth of the sun, and the solstice brings images of return and restoring and renewing one force, while another one fades and retires or heads towards its own time of rest. And from these ancient stories, we come to accept that change is a part of life. These changes, these transitions from one phase to another, may not be clear when we're traveling through them. But by stopping and noticing the transitions that we are in, we can make transformations in our own lives to new approaches of thinking and practice, new ways of relating to ourselves and to each other. Resilience asks us to figure out how to bounce back, how to ally with the forces that create and uphold life. And given the resources, gifts, and talents that are available to us now, with resilience, we can focus on the present moment, and we can apply creativity and teamwork to do and to be what we've been called for at this time. Reverend Cox reminds us that we must use caution when we talk about resilience. We must remember that when we're talking about resilience, it's important to acknowledge that sometimes the people who are most praised for their resilience are those whose suffering could be avoided with the suitable application of justice. For example, for those with one or more marginalized identities, they are called on a daily basis to be resilient, to be creative, to be clever, to be persistent and collaborative, because that is the only way to survive. Encouraging resilience must not be another way of letting ourselves off the hook, from removing the obstacles in society put in front of people based on race, ability, gender, immigration status, class, or any other category of identity. Winter shows us what resilience might look like in the natural world. But let's keep in mind that there is nothing natural or inevitable about systemic inequality. I love these examples of resilience in nature. Winter in our climate might be considered a season of challenge for wildlife, so we might think about whether or not we can translate adaptations to our own lives. Cardinals, for instance, have a variety of strategies for getting through the winter. Cardinals can build their nest in tall trees, in dry shrubs, in open woodlands and tangled vines. Their strategies for survival are flexible. The males are brightly colored and the females are subtly colored, and either blending in or standing out are valid survival strategies. Maybe having two complementary strategies working together is one of the things that makes them so successful. Another example in nature is of mammals. There are some that hibernate and some that shift their habitat, so flexibility wins again. Another strategy is cooperation. For example, squirrels and mice tunnel through snow and huddle for warmth. Squirrels don't remember where their caches of acorns and nuts are. They hide food, and then they might discover the caches left by another squirrel when they were hungry. They share. Cooperation and generosity might be the most powerful strategies for us also as humans. We can get through a whole lot more things if we can get through them together. All over the natural world, life continues on through winter. Cox states for us to have as a reminder, for us to take stock of where we are right now, to team up and to get creative, for the solstice is the time to create strategies for resilience. This year in particular, we need to create strategies of resilience because it is a tough year. Our customs of getting through the difficulties and the coldness and the drudgery of winter usually includes gathering with others for celebration, for music, for laughter, and for joy. Yet this year we have to remain physically isolated, if even in measured, carefully thought out ways. Instead, this year we have celebrations at home, most likely virtual, most likely isolated. We need each other as we wait for the brightness of spring. So let's create new ways of being together this year. I invite you to join this community on December 24th for our Zoom celebration. Bring your hot cocoa, wear your fuzzy slippers, even put on the silly Christmas sweater if you have one. I look forward to seeing your smiling faces that night. So as I come to a close, the winter solstice offers us the gifts of rest, reflection, and resilience. May these come in abundance for us all. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
We have come to the end of our service. Let us extinguish this chalice with the words by Reverend Scott Taylor. When the winds of your daring days begin to whirl, may you find your breath. May you remember that still point inside that is always waiting to welcome you back home. And from that place of sacred peace, may you be an anchor of calm for those who need it as much as you. Go in peace, go in love. Amen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again.